When it comes to organized crime, the image of ruthless male mobsters often comes to mind. However, history has shown that some of the most cold-blooded and cunning members of the Mafia were actually women. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into the lives of the 5 most notorious female mobsters to ever exist. From their rise to power to their brutal crimes and ultimate downfall, we will uncover the shocking and fascinating stories of these powerful women. So, if you want to discover the dark and twisted world of the female mafia, and learn about the incredible strength and resilience of these women, then be sure to stick around until the end of this video. Virginia Hill, 1916 to 1966. Annie Virginia Hill, born on August 26, 1916, grew up in poverty and aspired to become wealthy. She followed her divorced mother to Georgia and then later moved to Chicago, where she worked as a waitress and prostitute. Eventually, Hill became involved in criminal activities, and by the age of 17 in 1933, she was a mistress to multiple male bosses on the East Coast, helping to move money and messages between cities like Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas. When the police attempted to convince her to testify against the mob, Hill invoked the Mafia's code of silence, or omerta.
Person whom we might call a gangster other than Siegel?
No.
Did you ever get any money from Costello?
No.
And did you ever get any money from Myalansky?
I never got money from any of those fellas.
None of those
fellas. None of these that I've been reading about, or none that I knew. They never gave me anything.
None of the Fichettes?
No. I don't even speak to them. I mean, I met that Charlie once or twice. I don't even talk to him.
Which required her to maintain her loyalty and keep quiet about any illegal activities. Hill's devotion to the Mafia not only earned their trust, but also won the heart of a notorious Mafia boss named Bugsy Siegel. Siegel was responsible for establishing Las Vegas as it is known today, and he named his largest casino after Hill. However, Siegel was assassinated in Hill's home in Las Vegas on June 20th, 1947, while Hill was in Paris. Some speculated that Hill had abandoned Siegel to his fate, knowing that he would be targeted, but this was never proven. In 1951, Hill came under scrutiny when Senator Estes T. Kefauver launched an investigation into the Mafia, but Hill denied all allegations. After escaping to Europe with her son Peter and her Austrian skier husband Henry Hauser, Hill lived a quiet life away from the American press. She was found dead on March 24, 1966, from an overdose of sleeping pills, with a note expressing her fatigue with life and her coat neatly folded beside her. Despite her controversial past, Hill's been portrayed in Hollywood and remains an iconic figure in the world of organized crime. Stephanie Sinclair, 1897 to 1969. Stephanie Sinclair, a black woman who rose to the top in the 20th century, faced many challenges. Though her background is not widely known, it is believed that she was born on an island off the coast of France in the late 1800s. Sinclair's strong will and disregard for consequences became apparent when she hopped on a boat to New York City at the age of 13. In the mid-1920s, she entered the gambling business in Harlem, an industry dominated by black men. Despite this, Sinclair managed to gain the loyalty of many men and rise to the top, amassing a fortune worth millions of dollars in today's currency. However, Sinclair's success attracted the attention of a white bootlegger named Dutch Schultz, who demanded to sell her business to him or pay royalties. Sinclair refused and published a response in the papers, leading to a full-scale war. Sinclair organized black gamblers to undermine Schultz's associates and intimidate white gamblers working for him. She even took out ads encouraging black Harlemites to patronize only black gambling outfits. Schultz retaliated by issuing threats, murdering her men, and placing a bounty on her head. Sinclair fought back and eventually killed a hitman sent to take her life. Schultz was assassinated by the Mafia for an unrelated dispute, and Sinclair sent a telegram to her fallen enemy signed, Madam Queen of Policy, stating, "As you sow, so shall you reap." Sinclair later entered into a one-year trial period marriage with a man named Bishop Amaru Al-Muniman, Sophie Abdul Hamid, and ended up shooting him 3 times after catching him cheating. She spent 10 years in prison for the crime, and later died poor after stepping back from crime. Today, Sinclair is remembered as a gangster, civil rights advocate, fashionista, and successful businesswoman who bravely took on one of the most powerful men of her era and emerged victorious. Sister Ping, 1949 to 2014. Sister Ping was a notorious Chinese-American gangster who was born in 1949 in Shantou, China, and grew up in Hong Kong. Her real name was Chung Chui Ping. She moved to New York City in the 1980s and became one of the most prominent figures in the human smuggling trade known as snakehead operations. Her network smuggled thousands of Chinese immigrants into the United States and other Western countries through elaborate schemes, often involving falsified documents and dangerous ocean crossings in unseaworthy vessels. Sister Ping was able to build a vast criminal empire that spanned the globe. She operated in New York City's Chinatown and controlled a network of smugglers, recruiters, and corrupt officials in China, Hong Kong, and Southeast Asia. Her organization was estimated to have made millions of dollars a year from the illegal trade. In 1993, one of Sister Ping's smuggling vessels, the Golden Venture, ran aground off the coast of New York. 10 immigrants drowned, and over 200 others were arrested. Sister Ping was charged with smuggling and other crimes but fled to Hong Kong, where she was eventually arrested and extradited to the United States in 2000. She was convicted of human smuggling and sentenced to 35 years in prison. While in prison, Sister Ping continued to run her criminal enterprise, using smuggled cell phones to communicate with her associates. She was known to be a powerful figure in the prison system, with many inmates seeking her protection and influence. Sister Ping died in a Texas prison in 2014 at the age of 65. Her legacy as a ruthless gangster and a human trafficker continues to be felt in the Chinese-American community and the larger world of organized crime. Despite her notoriety, she was also admired by some as a Robin Hood figure who helped immigrants escape poverty and depression in China, albeit at a steep price. Assunta Maresca, 1935 to 2021. Assunta Pupetta Maresca was an Italian criminal and a prominent figure in the Camorra, a criminal organization based in the region of Campania in southern Italy. She was born in the town of Portici in 1938 and grew up in a poor family. Her life took a dramatic turn when she married Ciro L'Americano Terranova, a powerful and ruthless Camorra boss who controlled the drug trade in the region. In the mid-1950s, Terranova was murdered by a rival gang, leaving Maresca devastated and seeking revenge. She vowed to avenge her husband's death and began plotting her revenge. She discovered that the man responsible for her husband's murder was a fellow Camorra member named Antonio Oscugnizzo Spavoni. In a brazen act of vengeance, Maresca tracked down Spavoni and shot him dead in broad daylight on the streets of Naples in 1958. The killing made international headlines and earned Maresca a reputation as a fearsome and formidable figure in the world of organized crime. She was later arrested and sentenced to 24 years in prison for Spavoni's murder. Despite her incarceration, Maresca continued to wield influence within the Camorra and was reportedly involved in drug trafficking and other criminal activities from behind bars. She was eventually released from prison in the late 1980s and went on to live a quiet life out of the public eye. Maresca's story has been the subject of numerous books and films, and she remains a legendary figure in Italian organized crime history. Her bold act of vengeance against her husband's killer has cemented her place in the annals of crime, as a woman who refused to be cowed by the men who dominated her world. Maria Licciardi, 1951 to 2021. Maria Licciardi was born in the Secondigliano district of Naples in 1951. She was the daughter of a notorious Camorra boss, and she grew up surrounded by crime and violence. As a teenager, she became involved in the family business, and she quickly rose through the ranks of the Licciardi clan. By the 1990s, Maria had become one of the most powerful women in the Camorra. She was the head of the Licciardi clan and a member of the Secondigliano Alliance, a powerful coalition of criminal organizations in Naples. She was known for her ruthlessness and her ability to maintain control over her territory. Maria's criminal empire was built on drug trafficking, extortion, and money laundering. She controlled large parts of the city of Naples, including the infamous Scampia neighborhood, where the hit TV series Gomorrah is set. Maria was a master at playing the long game. She avoided confrontations with law enforcement and rival clans, preferring to use her wealth and influence to maintain a low profile. But when she needed to flex her muscle, she did so with deadly force. In 2001, Maria was arrested and charged with Mafia association. She was sentenced to 20 years in prison, but she continued to run the Licciardi clan from behind bars. She was known to use smuggled cell phones to communicate with her lieutenants and give orders. Maria was finally released from prison in 2019, after serving 18 years of her sentence. She was 68 years old and in poor health, but she wasted no time trying to regain control of her criminal empire. However, her health quickly deteriorated, and she died in a Naples hospital in March 2021. Maria Licciardi was a powerful and ruthless criminal who ruled over the Camorra for decades. Her legacy lives on in the organized crime networks of Naples, where her name is still spoken with fear and respect.